morning, everyone. As you know, I don't usually use a little platform here, so you know something's up today. So, I wanted to use some notes today, just because it's a serious topic today, and I didn't want to say things that were too far off the cuff. You know what I'm saying? And make a mistake with my words. Which isn't to say that I won't make a mistake, but at least I want to try my best to be a little more careful today. Because in our country this week, there has been so much violence. And I thought on a Sunday, after a week like we've just had, it would be most appropriate for us to hear about that together as a community of faith, as disciples of Christ, and not ignore what's happening and talk about something else. So as we have heard, there have been 5 police officers assassinated by a gunman in Dallas, Texas. We heard that he was motivated in part by seeing videos of what he perceived as 2 unjust killings by police officers, one in Louisiana, one in Minnesota. All of these 3 incidents, as you know, have been tragic. So much death at one time. When I heard about them, I felt almost paralyzed, a bit numb. I didn't really want to turn on the news and hear more about it because I knew what was going to happen in the news reports. People crying, people angry. Reminded me just a little bit, not completely, but just a little bit of how I felt after the 9/11 terrorist attack. You remember back when that happened? After it happened, most people wanted to be so kind to each other because they knew everyone was hurting. Everyone was talking more quietly, being more gentle, at least for a few hours or a few days. People were just so shocked. They wanted to be so careful about how they acted and what they said. That's a little bit of how I felt after waking up and hearing the news from Dallas. In our own congregation, there are many people who are associated with the police, who have FBI backgrounds, others who have family members who are in law enforcement. What if it had been one of our own people who had been gunned down in Dallas? In our own congregation, there are many people of color. There are several young black men in the congregation. Or there are those who have grandchildren who are young and black. Suppose they had been caught up in a confusing escalation of violence and had died in an incident with the police. It could have happened here. With this as our beginning point today, now we hear the story of Jesus, who also in his own day lived in a very violent time. He said, there was a man traveling down the road who fell into the hands of robbers. And he was beaten and left half dead. And there were some who could have helped, but they walked by on the other side, leaving the traveler on the side of the road. But there was one Samaritan who stopped, who did not ask about what was religiously appropriate or who was that person on the ground. Was he Jewish or Samaritan? Was he clean or unclean? He did not ask any questions about what group he came from, but he stopped and he helped and he acted with compassion. And he poured on the wine and to clean the wound, and he poured on the oil to soothe the wound, and he bandaged him up put him on his own animal, and then carried him in. And he paid for his recovery time. He said, if you spend anything else, I'll come back here again on the way back, and I'll pay you whatever I owe you. I want to suggest that some in the police force or in the police community on this day, at this time, they feel like they are wounded by having their comrades killed. For them it's personal. And they feel like a part of them is lying on the road, beaten, half dead. The police, they mostly work with regular citizens who are safe and they do their jobs. But they also work with dangerous, violent people. And they never know at a traffic stop what will be the result of simply passing out a citation. It could be an encounter with life and death. They choose that job and this career because they want to serve and they want to protect the innocent, keep the peace, keep people safe. But now they are being shot at. And they feel sometimes misunderstood, I believe, by civilians. I'm a civilian. I don't really understand the life of a police officer. They may feel that the public has little empathy for the sacrifices they make in terms of pay or in terms of their family life or the emotional trauma they have to go through every day just to do their job. While the police are professionals, they have lots of training. Not every situation can you be trained for. And they are forced to make immediate, split-second decisions in dangerous situations with imperfect information and without a good solution either way. But they have to make a call. And now, after the murder of the police officers at the peaceful demonstration for Black Lives Matter, one person I heard said it was as if the police were being hunted. Now, those people feel like they could be on the side of the road now, half dead. On the other side, there are some in the black community who also feel wounded, beaten, even half dead, lying on the side of the road. They, in many situations, are intimidated by police officers, distrustful of the police. When I am pulled over for a traffic stop, I'm scared because I feel like I'm speeding, which I probably was. But I don't fear for my life. Some in the black community, when they're stopped, they feel they are being stopped and searched and questioned more often than any others just because they are black and for no other reason. And it feels like they're being harassed, even oppressed, simply because of the color of their skin. And with the death of the young black men at the hands of police, at least being investigated as suspicious or odd, some feel afraid for their lives. Not only from criminals that they bump into, but from the very people who are meant to protect them. One person in the black community said exactly the same thing. They said, it feels like we're being hunted. So today, we have two communities who are wounded. The community of the police and the community of black Americans. As Christians and as disciples of Christ, I believe we are called to act as neighbor with compassion and mercy to all those that we find on the road of life who are wounded, lying half dead on the side of the road. Both the Brotherhood of Police Officers and many black people in the community feel that they are the ones who have been offended. They are the ones who are under attack. They are the ones who are being hunted. I believe we should not pick a side, one over the other, not choose this group as the good one and this one as the bad one, but look and understand that both of these communities are hurting today. And where there is suffering, as Christians, we are all called to act like a neighbor. Not asking, who is that on the side of the road? Is that the police officer or is that the black person? But be like the Samaritan who did not ask any questions, but simply went to the community that was hurting. And in our case, both communities. And offer some healing for them. When we speak about the police in our words, in our conversations, let us do so with gentleness, understanding, compassion. When we speak of the black community, let our words be gentle, compassionate, merciful, empathetic. All of our words, which will lead to actions in our lives, whether it's policies about all the solutions that could be dreamed of to try to change our situation in America. One thing I'm sure we do not want to do is have any word that lead us back to more violence or retribution or payback or vengeance. If our words and our actions are compassionate and merciful to both communities, we will be the ones that bring oil and wine and bandage the wounds and put the people back up on our own animals and take them to an inn where they can find some healing. So on the road to Jericho on this Sunday, there are 2 travelers down. And we will stop. We will act like a neighbor to both groups. We will not ask, are you Jewish or are you Samaritan? We will not ask whether, are you for Black Lives Matter or are you for the police? For every person in need is the one that we will act like a neighbor towards. The African Americans are hurting. They feel like they're being hunted. The police community is devastated. They feel like they are being hunted down. Let us be the ones who pour the oil and the wine and bandage the wounds and take in the hurting so we can bring some healing to both these groups. I offer this to you in God's name. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.